When we talk about boundaries on the show, it's usually uh, something like geopolitics
Or psychology,
or
even.
psychology, yeah. But today, looking at these reports, it feels like we're studying what happens when people decide boundaries just, well, don't apply to them.
That's a real study in extremes, isn't it?
It is. It's like we're watching two different plays on two different stages. In one, you have these, high-ranking constitutional figures,
Mm.
governors, who are basically walking out on their duties.
Just leaving an empty chair in the legislature.
Exactly. And on the other stage, you've got this massive global dragnet. The state is hunting fugitives across international lines with the kind of aggression we haven't seen in years.
It's a fascinating contrast. You've got the internal friction, where the rules of the House seem to be breaking down, and then the external reach of the law, which is actually getting much, much sharper.
So we're diving into two very different sets of documents today.
We are. First, a legal analysis of this gubernatorial walkout trend we're seeing in states like Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And second, this huge data release from the CBI on tracking fugitives.
Okay, so the mission for today's deep dive is to sort of figure out the rules of the game.
Mm.
Whether that's the text of the Constitution or an Interpol red notice, we're really asking two questions. How much freewheeling is a governor allowed? And on the flip side, how ruthless, and that is a direct quote, is the state becoming in bringing people home?
Freewheeling versus ruthless. I think that frames it perfectly. One's testing the limits of the Constitution, the other's testing the limits of jurisdiction.
So let's start inside the House. The legislative House, I mean. Picture the scene. It's the first section of the year. Everyone's there.
The big formal address.
Right. And the state cabinet gives the governor a speech. It's tradition, it's protocol. But lately, well, the script is being ignored.
And not just in a small way. We're not talking about stumbling over a word. We're seeing governors skip entire paragraphs, what the analysts are calling selective reading.
Or just walking out, literally getting up and leaving the building.
Yeah. And it's getting to the point where the Karnataka government is now apparently considering going to the Supreme Court.
Just ask, is this even allowed?
Exactly, just for a basic declaration on the rules.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here for a second. If I'm a governor and I'm reading a speech that, I deeply disagree with, or maybe it criticizes the central government that appointed me, don't I have a right to say something? Or am I just, a human teleprompter?
And that is the absolute core of the issue. It feels like a matter of conscience, doesn't it?
Hmm.
But to answer that, we have to look at the country's, its operating system, the Constitution, specifically Article 176, Clause 1.
Okay, so break that down for us. Does it have an edit button for the governor?
It's actually surprisingly rigid. It says the governor shall address the assembly at the start of the first session each year. And in legal language, shall is a heavy word. It's not may. It's not can if they feel like it. It means must. It is a mandatory duty.
So no opt-out clause.
None. And this really connects to the basic design of our democracy. The governor acts on the aid and advice of the cabinet. That's the key phrase.
Right.
The speech isn't the governor's personal opinion. It's not their blog post. It's the official policy of the state cabinet.
So the rule is, if the cabinet wrote it, the governor reads it, the whole thing.
In toto, in its entirety. That's the convention. Because if the governor starts redacting the speech, they're essentially censoring the elected government.
It's like a publisher deleting a chapter of a book they don't like.
Exactly. It completely changes the story.
But these governors obviously feel they have some wiggle room,
Yeah.
or they wouldn't be doing it. So is this some kind of legal gray area they're trying to exploit?
Well, that's the thing. Historically, it's not gray at all. And this is where you can go back to the Constituent Assembly debates, the making of documentary for the Constitution.
Oh, I love this stuff. The original source code. What did Dr. Ambedkar say?
He was incredibly clear on this point. He said, and I'm paraphrasing just slightly, that the governor has, quote, no functions which he can discharge by himself.
No functions which he can discharge by himself.
Wow. That sounds almost purely ceremonial.
Well, it's functional but not independent. Ambedkar's point was that the governor represents the people as a whole, not a political party. They're a constitutional head, not another center of power.
The safety valve, not the engine.
That's a great way to put it. The safety valve doesn't grab the steering wheel.
Okay, so if the framers were so clear and the text says shall, why is this fight happening now? Has the Supreme Court ever weighed in on this?
They have, many times. And the legal precedents are pretty damning for any governor trying to go rogue. The really big one is a case from 1974, Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab.
Sounds like a heavyweight title fight. It was. A 7-judge bench, which carries enormous legal weight. And they found that a governor taking a public stand against the government's policy, they called it an unconstitutional faux pas.
An unconstitutional faux pas.
Yeah.
That is the most polite, judicial way of saying you broke the law.
It's very polite. It's like saying you committed treason, but, you also wore the wrong shoes to do it.
It's a major blunder.
A major blunder. And more recently, in 2016, in the Nabam Rebia case, the court used a phrase I love. They said the governor has no elbow room.
No elbow room, so they can't just throw their weight around.
Precisely. They can't just withhold assent on bills because they don't like them. The Constitution literally doesn't give them the space to do that. They're boxed in by the aid and advice of the cabinet.
I want to go back to that 1974 judgment for a second because there was a quote in the source material that genuinely made me laugh.
I think I know which one you're talking about. It really stands out.
Yeah. The court was worried that if a governor had all this discretion, parliamentary democracy would become a dope.
A dope.
And just for clarity, in 1974, that didn't mean cool.
No, definitely not. It meant a sham, a fake, a deception. Like the whole system would be a kind of hallucination.
Such a powerful image.
It is. The court was painting this picture of what would happen. They said if the governor could do this, they'd become a, quote, reincarnation of Her Majesty's Secretary of State for India.
Oof. That's a heavy-duty comparison.
It is. That's invoking the colonial overlord, the one person who didn't have to answer to anyone in India.
It's bringing the British Raj right back into the courtroom.
And they even said such a governor would be, quote, a little taller in power than the U.S. president.
Wow. That really puts it in perspective. So the Supreme Court is saying, if we let governors do this, they become more powerful than the most powerful person on earth.
Because there are no checks and balances on that kind of power, which is why limited freewheeling is the only option. They can be guides, maybe philosophers, but not opposition leaders. Reading that address is an executive function, period.
The narrator, not the writer.
Narrator, not the editor, exactly.
Right, so that's the story of people walking out of their jobs. Let's pivot to people running away from the consequences of theirs.
From the assembly hall to the airport departure lounge.
And the transition is just so stark. Because while the governors are, testing the limits of their power, the state's law enforcement seems to be dramatically expanding its own. The headline number from this new CBI report is just, well, it's staggering.
It really is.
In the 2024-25 period, Indian agencies located 71 fugitives abroad.
And we need to put that number in context because 71 might not sound like a lot.
Right. Is that a lot?
It is the highest number in 12 years. If you go back to 2013, they only found 15. The previous record was 42 back in 2015, so jumping from that to 71.
That's a massive increase, nearly 5 times what it was a decade ago.
It's a step change. We're not just getting a little better. Something fundamental has shifted.
So what is it? Do we just hire more detectives, or is there something else going on?
It's the machinery behind it. This is a result of what they call the Global Operations Center.
That sounds like something out of a spy movie.
It kind of is. It's a joint effort between the CBI, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and the Ministry of External Affairs. They're using Interpol channels, red notices, blue notices to geolocate criminals much more aggressively.
Okay, so geolocate, that's step 1, finding the person.
That's the easy part, relatively speaking. Getting them back, that's where things get tough.
Right, because I can find a restaurant in another country on a map, but I can't make them deliver a pizza to my house.
That's a perfect analogy, and extradition is that delivery service. It's slow, it's expensive. But the source notes that the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah, called for a ruthless approach to it.
Ruthless. That's a strong word. It's not efficient or thorough. It's ruthless.
And the numbers suggest they're taking it to heart. In the last financial year, 27 fugitives were physically brought back to India.
Okay, and I see another number here. 25 were formally extradited. What's the difference?
Brought back is the general term. That can include deportation, where another country just cancels their visa and puts them on a plane. Extradition is the full, formal legal process.
Ah, so deportation is the shortcut.
Sometimes. And on the diplomatic front, the numbers are wild. The Ministry of External Affairs sent out 137 extradition requests. Any guess how many were accepted?
I would guess not that many, given how complex these things are.
134.
What, 134 out of 137?
Yes. Only 3 were rejected.
That is an unbelievable success rate for international diplomacy.
It suggests the paperwork is basically ironclad. They're sending dossiers that are so well prepared, foreign courts have very little room to say no.
But here's the twist in the data that I found the most surprising. We always think of this as a one-way street, right? India is chasing people who fled the country.
A classic trope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the data shows something else. While India found 71 of its own fugitives abroad, Indian authorities found 203 fugitives wanted by other countries who are hiding inside India.
Wow. 203, that's almost 3 times as many.
It totally flips the narrative.
It does. I mean, on one hand, that's great. It shows cooperation. Quid pro quo. You want other countries to help you. You have to help them.
Right. It shows India is a reliable partner in the global security system.
But on the other hand,
why are there 203 international fugitives hiding in India in the first place?
that is the uncomfortable question, isn't it? It suggests India is seen as a viable place to disappear.
Maybe the thinking is that our bureaucracy is so vast, you can just get lost in it.
That could be part of it. And speaking of bureaucracy, we should talk about the main tool they use to cut through it. Letters rogatory.
Letters rogatory. It sounds so archaic, like something delivered by a medieval scroll.
It does, but it's the backbone of international investigation. It's a formal request from one court to another saying, please help us gather evidence.
A judicial, pretty please.
With a lot of official stamps.
Yeah.
So last year, India sent out 74 of these. 47 were fully executed.
That's a pretty decent success rate, over 60%.
It is, but then you see the backlog.
The reality check.
As of March this year, there are 533 pending letters rogatory with other countries. 500 cases that are basically stuck waiting for a foreign judge to sign a piece of paper.
So, while we're getting way better at finding people, the legal paperwork is still the bottleneck.
It always is. And this is where treaties come in. India has extradition treaties with 48 countries and arrangements with 12 others.
Which sounds good, but there are almost 200 countries in the world.
So that leaves about 150 places where there's no formal agreement. If you're a fugitive, you still have options.
You know, before we wrap this segment, there was one other little statistic buried in that CBI report that just seems so random.
The citizenship data?
Yes. It says they processed over 22,200 applications for the renunciation of Indian citizenship.
That is a huge number to see in a crime report.
Right. It's just sitting there. Over 22,000 people handing back their passports.
I imagine it falls under a Ministry of Home Affairs process that the CBI has to vet, to make sure someone isn't renouncing their citizenship to escape a case.
That makes sense.
But it fits the theme today, doesn't it? It's all about movement and exits. You have governors trying to exit their duties, fugitives exiting the country.
And citizens exiting the country's legal framework altogether.
Exactly. It's a report defined by people leaving.
Wow. That's a very poetic way to frame a government report. So let's tie these two very different stories together. What's the main takeaway here?
I think it all comes down to the friction between individual action and the legal system.
The system strikes back.
In a way, yes. With the governors, they're running up against the hard wall of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has been very clear. You are a guide, not a rival power center.
You don't get to rewrite the play just because you're on stage.
Precisely. And for the fugitives, the takeaway is that this ruthless approach is real. The world is getting smaller for them. Finding nearly 3 times as many fugitives isn't an accident, it's a new reality.
So it seems like the days of freewheeling are getting shorter, whether you're a governor or a gangster on the run.
Well said.
But here's a thought I want to leave you with today. And it goes back to that wild word the court used. Dope.
The democracy becoming a sham.
If the Supreme Court warned us 50 years ago, back in 1974, that giving a governor too much power would make them a kind of colonial overlord, why are we seeing this happen again now? Is it just a political test of the boundaries? Or have we forgotten the basic rules of our own democracy?
That is the question. Do we need a system update or just a reminder of how the system is supposed to work?
And on the other side of things, if we found 203 foreign fugitives hiding in India, what does that really say about us? Are we becoming a key player in global law enforcement, or are we just becoming the world's most popular hideout?
Or maybe, just maybe, a little bit of both.
Something to think about. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.